Good evening. Welcome back to the sawmill. My name is Bill. This is Pirate Solutions Forestry. I am going to do a quick condensed version on how to adjust the guides, the new 6-axis trunnion system roller guides to retrofit over to the HD32. I did a video last night after I installed them. If you haven't seen my installation video, watch it because it has all the tools that you're going to need. This is going to be a very condensed version, very to the point, and take you through the steps one by one by one. I shot a video last night, it just didn't come out great, so I decided not to put it up. It was too scattered. I was learning my way through it. I actually did it. It was over an hour. It's not going to be productive. So we're going to do a condensed version. Just been out working in the field all day. Got my cold drink here. I got Danny with me. Danny's loving life. Such a good boy. We're just about done with the new Veterans Center that we're building here in Falmouth, Massachusetts, and the VIP opening is tomorrow. If anybody wants to donate to the cause, Joe Q Veterans Coffee Break. If you look up that, if you Google Joe Q Veterans Coffee Break, is the organization. My wife's on the board, and we're building a new Veterans Center, and I'm just kind of the go-to beat the crap out of me guy. So we've done a lot of neat things. I will shoot a video down there probably Friday. Tomorrow's our VIP opening for all senators and town officials and things like that, and then Monday is our official opening on Memorial Day. But for now, let's get to the sawmill because that's what you are here to see. So I'm going to take you through step by step, and I'll take you out of the camera to show you some things, but we're going to start at step one. My mics came in today, my replacement mics. I don't have them on. I will try to talk loud enough. If you cannot hear me, turn up your freaking volume. All right, so step number one, you need to level this area of your mill perfectly, both sides, because what's going to happen is you do not have the tool to measure the band like Wood Miser uses, okay? And we'll talk about that in a minute. I'm going to throw a band on it. But you don't have the tool, so your only reference is level. So when you adjust these guides, and this is one of the great things about these guides, is that you're going to use level as a reference to make sure that your blade, you adjust the guide so that your band is perfectly level going into the cut. And it's going to be one of the first times that you're ever going to be able to do that on a Norwood mill. The old guides with your ceramics, and we're going to talk about some of the advantages of the ceramics when we get into that, but your old ceramics, you had to adjust your level of your band with your tracking. So if your band was angled up too much, you tracked it back further. If it was angled down too much, you had to track it forward further. Those days are over. We can adjust level on the band with these 6-axis. Now some people are calling them 4-axis, but they're 6-axis, and that's debatable as well because some of them are going to be a manual adjust, but we can adjust level on the band. So the only way that we have reference to see if our band is level parallel to the cut, we can't just make our band level if our sawmill is not level. You know, we can make the band level and the sawmill could be tilting down. We want to have the band level parallel to the cut line. And the only way to do that is to level your mill first. So the first thing that I did with an 8-foot level, if you don't have an 8-foot level, you need something that's at least going to span your runners here. I leveled both sides with an 8-foot level, perfectly level. Okay, so that's step number one. Step number two to adjusting these guides is we are going to throw a band on and track it. We have to get the tracking perfect because that's when you set your guides, that's where your guides are going to live forever now. It's not like the old ceramics where you're going to have to adjust them almost every time you put a band on. These guides, when you set them, it's over with for now until they wear. So we have to track our band perfect. So that's step number 2. We're going to throw a band on. Matter of fact, well, no, I'll have you watch it. If you're interested in this, then you're just going to have to live with the fact that this video is going to take a couple minutes. I'm getting sick and tired of people saying, oh, your video's too long, when I'm trying to get information out to you. My channel is informative. It's educational. That's really all it is. And when we start talking about, well, you take, you know, oh, your video's an hour. Well, if my videos are an hour, they're an hour because I'm cutting something and I want to show you so you can see it. I'm not here, you know, doing the funny yoga pants thing. So we're going to go ahead, uncoil this band, and we're going to put it on. It's going to grab me. This is one of the new Stellite bands, but it doesn't matter. Whatever you normally run. Now, when you install these guides, if you watched my previous video, I'm just going to get this level out of the way for a second. We are going to use this in a minute, guys, because I'm going to show you the easiest way to do this. When you install these guides, they need to be loose enough to move up and down. And I'll get you over here in a minute, so chill out. They need to be loose enough to be able to move up and down, and these rollers and the ceramic should be all the way back, okay? That's so that you can get your band on to track it. And in my estimation, this is one of the most important steps that you can have in this, is to track your band. And track your band perfect. If it takes you 10 minutes to get your band tracking right, then take the 10 minutes to get it perfect. Gullets flush to the front, back of the band flush to the back of the wheel, so the band's right in the center. The body of the band, between the bottom of the gullet and the back of the band, the body of the band is centered on the wheel. Two things quick that I've learned in since the logging show and in the last 24 hours. We finally have a way that Norwood suggests to test the tension on this belt. And this has I've never seen anything on it to check the tension on the belt. And what Norwood says in their new literature is that if you can take your fingers and spin this belt 90 degrees, it's fine. If you can't, you're too tight. Okay, so that's what your tightness should be. With your fingers, you should be able to spin that 90 degrees. That's what Norwood's engineers, Brian, says is the correct tension. And we've never had that before, and I've been asking for it. So now we have it. Now, we have our roller guides now. We're going to move them up and down to where they're not influencing the band. So the band is dead center. And I'll get you out of the holder here to show you this. Pray to God. I'm so tired. I pray to God that I do not... Figures my wife's calling me. You are going to want to move these up and down as you start to track this. This needs to be loose so it can move up and down. That's with these two screws here that allows this to move up and down, and then on the side of that one, on the far side, if you watch my installation video, there's two bolts in that far side so that can move up and down. They want to be loose enough so this can move up and down. So we're going to get the band installed, and then we're going to tension it. And this is the other new part of information that I just learned. There's always been some debate about tension. Well, that debate is over. You turn this until it stops. Forget counting your turns. It's about, from the time that it makes contact with the spring here, it's about 6.5 turns. You don't have to think about it anymore, okay? I've talked to the engineers. This is how the engineer says it's to be done. Inside that spring, there are two spacers, and this is designed so that those spacers bottom out. I've always gone 5 1/3 turns. Those days are over. Turn it till it stops. And it should be horizontal, I think, when it stops. And like I said, that's about 6.5 turns, which is way more than anybody talks about that you should ever put on this mill. That's over. I've measured my tension and done the math. At 5 1/3 turns, I was at 23,000 PSI. Typical tension on a band is somewhere between 18,000 and 32,000. So with that extra turn, I haven't measured the stretch on it yet with the extra turn, but that's going to put you up in that upper 20,000, closer to 30,000, which is what everybody says that you should have on your band to run. Now, once you have it tensioned, you're going to go ahead and adjust these so they are not touching the band. The ceramics aren't touching the band and the wheel's not touching the band. Just going to move them up and down. Just tighten the bottom bolt on both sides so it's not affecting the band, and then you're going to track it. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and track it. I've already done this. Once we get our tracking perfect, we can move on to the next step. The next step is going to be, and I'm going to take you out of the holder because I'm going to take you inside the mill and show you this, is to set the guide clearance. And we're going to talk about these roller guides a little bit here. So what we need for guide clearance on these roller guides, and what is universally accepted, is that from the back of the band, right here, to this flange, which protects your band from going too far back, it will hit on that flange, should be about 1/8 of an inch. Now the distance from this little raised rib right here to that flange is about 1/8 of an inch. So you can line the back of your band up with the back of this flange. So you're going to move this one out and this one out till you have 1/8 of an inch. Now Norwood says 1/16, but I'm just telling you, in the industry it's 1/8. Okay, so somewhere between 1/8 and 1/16. And the back of this rib is about 1/8, and that's what everybody uses. If you watch any videos from Cooks or Woodmiser or anybody else that run these rollers all the time, that's where they say it should be, right at the back of that rib. So you're going to move this out until it's there, and you're going to move this one out until it's there, and then you're going to tighten these down as tight as you can get them. Okay, that's the next step. You can pull your ceramics out at that point, and the front of your ceramic plate right here, in my best, you want your ceramic is not going to touch the band. It's going to be spaced below the band, and we'll talk about why it's here, because this is unique to Norwood. But the face of this should be somewhere around flush with the gullets. That's going to put this ceramic a little bit back, because what could happen is when you're under heavy load and this band could dive like that, you don't want this to come into contact with the front side of this. So these need to be somewhat, or the ceramic needs to be somewhat centered on the band, but these are only here The only reason these ceramics are here are as an oh-shit mechanism that most roller guides don't have. When you have your ceramic guides, you have an oh-shit mechanism. Means that your band can dive and your band can rise and it can cut waves in your lumber, but it can't go really far because the ceramics trap it from both sides. And they also trap it from the back from going back too far. Rollers are different. Rollers put down pressure on the band and they can level the band, but if you hit something with your band on the bottom and your band dives, you can get a situation where your band will dive down in the cut enough, and at that point you're pushing really hard, where it will go underneath this flange and come off the back side of the rollers and shoot off the back of your tire. This is here to stop that, and it's uncommon. It's an oh shit mechanism. It's only here so that if you get into big trouble in your cut and you hit something, these should allow you to go really slow and force your way through the cut so you can finish. That's all these are here for. They don't contact the band. They should have about 1/16 of an inch clearance on both sides from the band. All they are here for is so that this band cannot dive down enough to get below this flange and shoot off the back of the roller and blow your band off the back of your wheel. So if you get into trouble in your cut, you should be able to fight through it and finish your cut so you don't have to dig your band out of the log. Okay, so that's what these are here for. Now that we have our rollers out and we have them on in the right position, both sides and tight, our next step is going to be to set our down pressure on the band. And this is one of the reasons why I didn't show last night's videos, because I've thought my way through this and I believe that I have a better setup and my setup changed. So I didn't want to show the wrong way to do it. What you're looking for in a typical roller setup is somewhere between 1/8 inch and 1/4 inch down pressure. Norwood's calling for 3/16 in their paperwork, okay? 1/4 inch is wonderful, that's industry standard, but if you can get somewhere between 1/8 and 1/4, you're good. Now, there is not a lot of adjustment in this trunnion right here. Because I have my rollers on before, have wallowed out these two holes. Matter of fact, you can see how much lower my bolt sits now. And that gave me these two holes on both sides of this. That gave me extra travel to where I could get what I wanted, which was 1/4 inch. However, you're not going to have that. So I'm going to put you in the tripod for a second. We're going to talk about this because this became a controversial issue last night as people are starting to get these systems. And Dave Sawmill put his in and he couldn't get enough down pressure on the operator side. So in seeing what Norwood was saying about that, my way of doing this is better. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to put a level or a straight edge or a cant or a fairly straight board on your sawmill. You're going to lower your sawmill down, preferably over the bunk somewhere so we can come over. You know, mine's clamped down right now, but you're going to have to bear with me here because this is the condensed version. You're going to bring this up over this bunk and you're going to lower it down until you are, let's go with you haven't wallowed out the holes, till you're 3/16 of an inch above the level. Okay? This is really simple. Then you're going to loosen your bolts and you're going to push this down because it doesn't have a screw on the top in this setup. You're going to push this down until it touches the level. Now you've got 3/16 down pressure on this side. The reason we're doing this side first is there seems to be more adjustment in the other side. But what we don't want to do is we don't want to adjust the other side down 1/4 and then find out we can't get this side down a quarter and not have enough down pressure on this side. So what we want to do is customize it so that whatever we can get for down pressure here is what we put on it over there. And you're going to be doing this manually because there's no screw to move them up and down, so you have to push on it. That's why I have the level here as a stop. So you're going to raise and lower this mill until you get your maximum down pressure. So you could just loosen up these two screws, push this down as far as you can get it until you bottom out, okay? Tighten them. Move the level to the other side. Make sure you can see that. Move your level to the other side. You're still in the same place here. And then you're going to push that roller down until it touches the level and tighten it down. Then you'll have equal down pressure on both sides. Now, it doesn't have to be that way. That one is more important. Okay, this one is willy-nilly. Back you up, because there's a lot going on here, guys. This one's willy-nilly, and this thing moves, and it probably doesn't push in and out perfectly straight. But we want to get maximum down pressure on the side, because this is the side that's going to be loose. This side over here is driving the show. You want the down pressure on the side, so you can put maximum down pressure on both sides, and then use your cables to adjust to your height. However, if you want to do it simply, get this one maxed down, drop it down until it touches the level, move your level over that side, push that one down until it touches the level. That's it. Done. You got both of them with exactly the same down pressure, whatever that ends up being, but it will be somewhere between 1/8 and 3/16. I don't think you'll get a quarter both sides without wallowing out these holes. So not only do you have the same down pressure, but now you're parallel to this bunk, so it simplifies things for you. I didn't do it that way last night. I got a 1/4 inch down pressure over there. I came over here. I couldn't quite get a quarter, but it was really, really close for me. I decided to leave it, and then I adjusted my cables to get my saw band level to this. I'm saving you a step. Once we get our down pressure in, then what we're going to do is we're going to level the band, okay? And I'm going to climb inside. Make sure your view's good here. I'm going to climb inside. Yep. Now this is a problem for this mill. You want to adjust this with what Norwood says is somewhere about 24 inches between these guides. What the industry standard is that whatever is the most common size log you cut, let's say it's 18 inches, you're going to add a couple of inches, you're going to put them about 20 inches apart. If you're into cutting max logs, pull it all the way over. But Cook's, Wood Miser, all those other companies have a snap-on guide that goes onto your band so that you can pull it full, you can put it here and measure from the guide to the bunk, then move it forward and measure from the guide to the bunk on the back side of the guide to see if your band's parallel to your bunk. We don't have that, okay? So I'm saving you here. What you need to do is you need to make sure that your band is level. Now, whatever level you decide to use, I don't care. So if you've ever watched Dave Boyd do his videos, like he's walking through a party and he has that little level, you know, that he puts on his band, and he changes his tracking to make sure that he gets it level. If you want to use one of those, that's fine. I use these little Empire machinists. These are machined levels. They have magnets on them. I have 2 of them. I have one in my truck all the time, along with a 12-inch Stabila, and I also have this one that stays on the mill. If you put this with this magnet in the center of the band, so it's not on a tooth, that's facing up. So find a tooth that's facing down, and you're going to put it on here with my magnet in the middle. My band is level. So I have some crap on the band here, but you're going to want to make sure that you don't have that. And when I put it on there, I've leveled my band, and you use the adjustment screws. I'll get you in here close so you can see. You use these adjustment screws in the yoke on the top here, and there's one on the top on the back to twist this. There's also a pin that goes through right here. You're going to want to crack that off a little bit so it's not super tight, and then you're going to adjust these until you get that bubble perfectly right in the middle like mine is. And then you're going to do the other side, and you're going to go through the same process again. Now this might take you a couple of times, but I don't know if you can see my bubble, but it's dead perfect. Okay, what I found I had to do, and one reason this video is not up, is I did this side and then I did that side, and I came back over here and it was a little teeny bit out of level, and I redid it and I redid that until both sides were perfect. So if my mill is level, that's on an 8-footer, and my band is level, my band is cutting parallel to my mill, and that's the most important thing. Everything else is all fun and games, but what we're trying to do is we're trying to get this band running perfectly parallel to your mill itself. The only way that we have to check that is through level, because we don't have the tool. Cooks and wood miser, they have a little thing, it's a straight bar that clips onto the band, and it has a clip right in the middle so that it doesn't sag or affect the band. And you measure up on the back, you measure up on the front, and you adjust it based on what your measurements are, till both sides are reading the same. Once you do that, and you adjust your ceramics so that they're like a 16th inch below the band on both sides, you are done with adjusting these guides, and you shouldn't have to touch them again. What is going to happen is that these guides are going to wear, and they will wear conically. So if your guide looks like this, okay, they're parallel right now, they're going to wear in the front like that. When they wear conically, your band is going to start to tilt up. And what these adjustments are for is to be able to adjust for that. So that, now, what I'm going to tell you is this: if your guides wear to the point that your band changes direction, replace your rollers. However, you do have adjustment in your mill now that you never had before with the, well, you never had the roller guides probably before, but you have adjustment now to be able to take that out. That's only going to happen way down the road after a lot of sawing. For now, it's put the band on, go to cutting. You're parallel, you've got pressure to keep this band straight and true. You've got an oh-shit mechanism underneath that keeps the band from jumping underneath it if you hit something on the bottom of the band and it wants to dive down. You have more tension on this band than you've ever had before with your ceramics, because with your ceramics you have none. You have literally none. Your ceramics, in a perfect world, don't touch your band. Your band is going to go like this through the cut. Now, not a lot. I've cut some great lumber with the ceramics. Not a lot. But it does not have what these give you. These give you this mega down pressure and stiffens this band, and you're adjusting it perfectly level, not using your tracking. You're actually physically adjusting it, and that's where it's going to stay. This band can't come up, so your days of the band rising are over. Now, if you hit something on the top of the band and it tries to rise and it can't, you could break it or you could bind up and not be able to go anymore. That still happens in sawmilling. However, your band now is trapped from going up, it's trapped from going back, and these here are oh shit to help you if you're in the middle of a cut somewhere and you hit a nail on the bottom of the band and it wants to dive, that you could go really, really slow and fight your way through the rest of the cut. So that is how you're going to adjust this. And at every step, as you go through this, once you get your adjustment right, you tighten everything. Okay, so when you put these in, if you follow the guide or you follow my video, most of it is finger tight, finger tight, finger tight, finger tight. Once you get these in the right spot, you tighten everything down, you gronk on them, and get them zip stone tight. I think that just about covers it. I will talk one thing about something back here, because I had to do mine different, and I had to adjust my band to my bunks using the cables, and I just hopefully got rid of that step for you. In their manual, they do suggest that you measure from here to here to make sure that before you do this whole process, that your distance from the top of this roller trunnion here to the bottom of, or somewhere on this saw head guide, that this distance on both sides is the same, and they suggest that you adjust it beforehand. As you've been going through, probably if you own a mill and you're making this change, you've probably adjusted your yokes 100 times here or there just to get your height right. You should check them to make sure that they're not way off, so you don't bind when you're going up or down. I did check mine yesterday and they're exactly the same, both sides. After all the adjustments I did my adjustments on the outflow side, on the non-operator side, because I found that it's better to, instead of trying to drop a side down, they don't drop really well. It's better to bring the low side up. So that side was low. I had to bring it up, and I did all my adjustments over there. And after all my adjustments and everything, and all the times that I've adjusted this, I measured this distance, and both of mine, when I measured it last night, it was 16 and a 16th to the center of that flange, wherever I had it at that time. I think it's, I don't know that it's moved or not. Yeah, so right now I'm 16 inches and a 16th of an inch to the center of that flange. After all the times I've adjusted this on both sides. If anything, this side might be a 32nd off low, might be a 16 and a 32nd, but they're very, very, very close, and the bill's not going to bind that way. So I hope this helps. I'm going to just kind of quickly take you inside and show you the hardware. If you watch my installation video, you already know where all the hardware is, what you need to adjust. So, but I'm going to do it just for the people that didn't. So here are your 2 bolts that adjust your height on this trunnion. And then you can see this bolt here, and there's one on the front side right here, that adjusts your up and down on your trunnion to level your band. Same thing over here, you got one here, and on the front side there to adjust your level. And then you have these 2 bolts to adjust your height. And then of course there is a little a set screw on the side over here. I get the video, yeah, right where my finger is, that locks this in place, and that's, you loosen that to adjust your in and out. And then there's the same set screw on the bottom down here, my finger's on it, to adjust the in and out on your ceramics. And then you will pop your ceramic 8mm in the front, and you can push it up until it's a 1/16 of an inch below the band on both sides. So that's all there is for adjustment here. You're not able to adjust your wheels in this axis, which you should be able to, but you're not in this setup. This wheel should be turned like this. It should be not square. It should not be square to the band. It should be turned very, very slightly like this. So as the band travels across and you get into trouble and this band's pushing backwards, that it only makes contact on the outfeed side of the flange right here. It doesn't make contact on the other side, because if it does, it can dig in. And on this side, the same thing. You don't want this band to push backwards and make contact with this flange on the front side here. It should only make contact on the back side. So this roller also should be slightly skewed like this. And that is typical in the industry. However, we do not have that adjustment here. So you could loosen bolts and try to turn this one if you want, but I'm going to run mine just the way they are. It is standard practice on roller guides to have them slightly skewed, so that, well, slightly skewed like this, yeah, so that you're only making contact with the flange when the band pushes back under high pressure on the outfeed side of the roller. So that's pretty much it. That's how you adjust them. I hope that was short and sweet. It's 36 minutes. If you guys have any questions about it, oh man, I almost killed it. If you have any questions about it, then hit me up. I am going to post this up on Norwood's Facebook page, their community page, and their standard page. But hopefully what I've shown you is, I've read their literature on how to do it, and I know how to do Cooks, I know how to do Wood Miser, so I'm taking the experience from all of them and applying them to this. So hopefully I'm giving you the best way to do it. Now, you are still going to have to go and double check your height and adjust your scale for your height, but the best way to do that, guys, and I'm just going to be honest with you, when you know that this band is parallel to that bunk, the best way for you to check your height and go ahead and adjust it on your scale here, the outside of your scale, to know how much you're cutting off the bunk, okay, which is your master scale all the way on the outside, is to go ahead and cut yourself a log. Cut yourself a log, get it into a cant, get it sitting there, come down a little bit, go into the log, make a kerf line, measure up, see how high that kerf line is, whatever it says it is. If it's 8 3/16, adjust that to 8 3/16. It's that simple. Rather than trying to get in there with a scale and trying to measure and trying to figure it out and trying to find the down tooth and everything else, easiest way to do it is just throw a log up here, go to milling, cut yourself a cant, go in and make a kerf line on the log, measure from the bottom of the log to the kerf line, change your scale over to that, and Bob's your uncle. That's how it goes. That's how I check mine from time to time, because what happens with mine is, with my cover, when it gets high wind loads and stuff, can push this whole scale down. If it beats on it enough, it can make it move down. So if I get some funky measurements and stuff like that, I just cut into the log and I measure up and see where it is, and then adjust my scale to that, and away I go. It's good for a long time until it happens again. So I hope this helps. I hope I simplified things. If I missed something, I'm gonna apologize, but I think I was pretty thorough. Thank you, Dave Sawmill, for your info on yours. I think that Dave was saying he couldn't get any down pressure on the operator side at all. And then he added washers. They had him add washers on the bolts up in here between this mount and the linear bearing to give him enough play. Now, I don't know, Dave, you know, I walled out these holes. You could have done the same. But the washers, hopefully they work great. Also, this little hole right here that you have to drill at installation, you're going to want to cut below that hole and make this shape So you see the shape on the old setup right here. You're going to want to cut that shape right here too, in and up, so that you can take this off without having to pull that screw all the way out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my band off and I'm going to call it a night. And my wife's down at the Veteran Center still working. She's been working 100 hours a week on the place. God bless her soul. I worked down there all morning. Tree crew in the morning, chipping. We made some funky live edge pool cue holders. We put those in. I had to fix some lights, and then I had to fix some sheetrock. So they're ready to open up for their VIP opening tomorrow, and it's going to be, I think, a long night for her, getting everything ready to go. So I will shoot a video down there and show you guys what's been happening. And if you guys want to look up Joe Q Veteran Coffee Break, I really appreciate it. Any questions, please hit me up. And for now, from me and Danny, this is Pirate Solutions out.